Congress MP Rahul Gandhi has alleged that the family of Agniveer Akshay, who was martyred in a landmine blast, would not receive pension or compensation. He's also said that Agniveers are not considered Jawans. The Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has countered these allegations. The family has confirmed that they've got nearly 1 crore rupees in compensation so far. Now, Rahul Gandhi says it was only after he brought this up that they got the compensation. But this takes us to the controversy surrounding the Agnipath scheme for short-term induction of soldiers from the time it was launched until now. There are reports that the government is reviewing the scheme. And the unfortunate part today is that this scheme, introduced for all the best reasons, is now being politicized, with the Congress openly saying that it's going to scrap the scheme if it comes to power. So the 5 questions that we are asking today is, will the Agnipath scheme actually increase or decrease the Indian Army's combat effectiveness? How does it reduce the age profile of the armed forces? Is it meant to reduce defense pensions, as many are saying it will? What are the changes that the Indian Army wants to bring about in this scheme? And finally, what happens next with the politicization of the scheme? To talk about this today, I have this evening with me 2 distinguished veterans, Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, Lieutenant General Shokeen Chauhan, and my colleague Deepak Badana here in the studio with me. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. I want to start by asking General Rakesh Sharma this. The politicization of the Agnipath scheme, are matters of the military meant to be discussed and debated in the well of the House, as we saw yesterday?
So, Sandeep, a difficult question, but let me answer this way. If the Indian taxpayer is paying 6 lakh crores every year for maintaining of their military based on the threats and challenges that we have, then indeed it is important for the legislators and for the parliamentarians and also the government to know whether they're getting the bang for the buck. So to discuss it, and a whole lot of these issues are discussed in the parliamentary committees, and we have been at least saying that the parliamentarians and the politicians must be involved into all matters military. When you discuss all matters military, then matters relating to recruitment are also important enough for meriting discussion. I am not here referring to the Agnipath scheme alone, but let's not bias ourselves to only Agnipath. What about everything else? What about the threats and the challenges? What about the national military strategies? So when
Right.
they want to discuss it, I think holistically, it must be discussed in a manner because all countries, democracies,
Yes.
the issues relating to military get discussed.
Right, absolutely. Everything gets discussed as they should be, but it's possible that it's the Agnipath scheme that is up for discussion for all the wrong reasons because of the politics involved, the recruitment from the states. General Chauhan, there is a view that the Agnipath scheme actually decreases the Indian Army's combat effectiveness. Do you agree with the fact that soldiers, when they're brought in for shorter time spans, so less than 4 years, are unable to contribute effectively as fighting soldiers? What's your view on this?
Firstly, thanks for calling me on the show. I'm honored, especially when the discussion also has my senior colleague, General Rakesh Sharma here. Now, the issue is that it's just too early to decide how effective these boys will be or will be not. It's just been the first 2 to 3 years. Ordinarily, we'd be able to only see their capabilities, one, if there was some kind of action or if there was some kind of battle, or they were introduced into some kind of operation. And secondly, anything to do with the effectiveness, the army takes a long time. So since the scheme has been introduced, I would say give it time, give us time to study it, and give it time to settle down. As we said, it's under review at the Ministry of Defense. Everything that's introduced takes time to, settle down, and the reviews are of issues that need to be changed so that the best possible set of rules
Right.
come in this recruitment of our soldiers.
Absolutely.
I would,
Yes.
the issue is, I'd like to say, is that while I am an advocate for also experience, all leadership of our soldiers is based on experience. Our lower, our middle level leadership at the Jawan level,
Yes.
that means at the other ranks level, the Lance Naik, the Naik, all these actually come from the soldiers they recruit.
Yes.
So this needs time for us to find out who is good and who is not good enough. Maybe when a scheme is finally made suitable and we have tested it in all test beds, only then can we find what is needed to be changed or tweaked.
Right. General
So I would
Sharma,
say it's too early.
is it, do you agree with that? Is it too early to judge the effectiveness of the scheme, the combat effectiveness? When would the Indian Army say that, it has either made us more combat effective or it's not working out for us? Is there a cutoff time for that kind of a judgment?
So while a pilot project could have been held, if you take the first 4 years as a pilot project itself, there are two issues which are relevant.
Yes.
Would Agniveer be part and parcel of a cohesive unit, which is the basics of all fighting? Whether they will be able to become part and parcel, fight with the others. There may be 30 Agniveers coming to a unit in a unit of 850. Will they be part of it? Second, will they support the issue of warfare and kind of tensions that we have on the CICT front or on the LAC or the line of control? Will they be able to do so? Now we take a feedback from the units for there and for our own centers, and the feedback we get is that the boys who are coming in are fairly competitive.
Right.
When you compare it with the previous lot of people who used to come, they are also well read. I mean, they are educationally better because it's a very, very highly competitive world.
Yeah.
And when they join in here, they are in a competition with each other also because they have to now prove a mettle because the weeding out is very, very stiff. Out
Right.
of 100, you keep 25 is very stiff.
Yes.
So I think on all those two scores, these two scores on cohesion and on as competence as it is being, as the boys have come in, and as part of the warfare which will take place, I have personally speaking no doubt that they will be able to achieve many things. They have many minuses. We can discuss
Yes.
the minuses, but I think on these two scores and the score of being educationally better off, the quality of people that we're getting, I think there is a pat on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Deepak Badana, my colleague here, has been sitting here listening quietly to the general speak. But Deepak, you've been reading up on what General Harbaksh Singh has written about short service commissions for Jawans in his biography, In the Line of Duty. So what does General Harbaksh, who's one of the most illustrious generals the army has produced, what does he have to say about recruiting soldiers for shorter durations?
Well, incidentally, what Dr. General Harbaksh Singh says aligns pretty much with what has been done under Agniveer already.
Right.
For instance, he bats for retention of 25% of soldiers.
Right.
He's also spoken that unlike, say, Western armies where the short commission is generally for 1 to 2 years,
Yes.
in India, what he said is that perhaps it could be, say, 3 to 4 years for regular infantry.
Right.
And 4 to 5 years for infantry that is engaged in, say, mechanical or technical aspects of it.
Right. And he wrote this more than 20 years ago?
Yes. I mean, the foresight of the gentleman.
Yes.
That's something.
In his biography, General Sharma, in the Line of Duty, General Harbaksh actually mentions the fact that you need to have short service for Jawans. And I was reading the note that the government put out, the Press Information Bureau note, on the 14th of June 2024, where they've clearly mentioned the fact that the armed forces are to have a younger, fitter, diverse profile for facing future challenges. Now, the aging Indian Army, the increasing age profile of the Indian Army is something that's been of concern for many years. Why was this not addressed until now? And do you think that the Agniveer scheme could actually remedy that problem?
I am not sure if that was a serious problem. Because the larger, lot of people earn their pension in 15 years,
Right.
and they tend to leave the army at 17 or 19 years, 16 to 19 years. That's the bulk of the army which goes as Naiks in a Naik rank. Now, if you say that they would be leaving at 35 years of age. So, 35 to 38. If they're 35 to 38, that's the bulk of the army leaving,
Yes.
going out at the Sepoy or Naik rank. I think they were young enough to fight it. And the youth has not been an issue with us in Kargil or in line of actual control or anywhere we are fighting in. So whether it will reduce the age by a year, 2 years, or 3 years, I don't think is a material issue. People are deployed there, in very difficult areas and doing very difficult tasks even now. And I don't think we can judge it by saying that the Kargil war we had older people. The officers may have been older,
Right.
but the troops were not older at all. And no, so I don't think that makes a very material difference to me
Right.
as the age profile part of it. Though that's been statistically proven by
Yes.
the establishment saying that the age will be reduced further, but then that. But the two small issues here. One is when Jan Harbaksh wrote his experiences of 1965 war, and the experiences of 65 war are not so relevant in 2025. I do respect Jan Harbaksh,
Yes.
but the relevance of that thing is not there. And second is the short service commission for the officers is absolutely differently tailored than this, if you call this Agnipath scheme as a short service commission. So that they are two separate issues altogether. And we would say that if it is short service commission, then allow the advantages of a short service commission officer also be taken by Agnipath soldier. But why should you have Agnipath soldier as a separate rank altogether?
Right.
While a short service officer, there is no difference between NDA or IMA
Right.
or short service. He gets the same salary, he gets the same perks and privileges, he gets the same kind of on debt. His family gets the same thing. If it is short service commission, then so be it. It should be like short service commission. Why
Right.
did you have differentiation for Agnipath?
Right. General Chauhan, this point that General Sharma mentioned, that why do you have a different, category of soldiers called, Agniveers? That's a point that the opposition has raised as well, that they're not considered like regular army Jawans. And this other point that the government has made very firmly is that it is meant to reduce the age profile of the army. Do you agree with this?
I agree with General Sharma, endorse his views entirely. This is not an aging Indian army. The bulk of our boys retired between 30, maybe 34 to 37. So certainly not aging in this particular time and day of our life. They were absolutely fit. And as I said earlier, experience is a very, very major factor for motivation. Now, I also endorse what he said. Why make it a separate scheme? It's a method of recruitment. These boys could have been recruited. Yes, at the period when they were recruited, they were told that it's 4 years or only 25%. It's a different story. But why make them different? Why separate them? Because that's not good for camaraderie. That's not good for cohesion. And these are the issues that are extremely important in an infantry battalion or any kind of fighting unit. Camaraderie and cohesion are two major factors why a unit fights and why their effectiveness in that. So I would say, take out the name. Just recruit them the way they were to be recruited. They are recruited under a separate category, and that category could be maintained. But everything else should have been absolutely the same.
Right. That's a very important point there, Deepak, what General mentioned, that it's a bad idea to give it a separate name and a separate category of soldiers, because for the Indian Army, the Army moves on that regimental spirit, cohesion, camaraderie. All of that is so important in achieving its objectives. So you think that there's going to be course correction on this?
I mean, certainly sounds like it. There are calls to relook at the scheme, but I don't expect some drastic departures from what has already happened.
Right.
And like I've heard some rumblings, some rumors that perhaps retention may increase from 25 to say 45%.
Of all the Agniveers.
And that the service duration
would increase from 4 to 7.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I've heard things like that, but until the government comes out
Yes.
with its own, definitive ideas,
Right.
it's difficult to say.
Of course, and changes are in the offing for the Agniveer scheme. But General Sharma, the point of Agniveer, the Agnipath scheme, as a silver bullet to stop the defense pensions, the problem of mounting defense pensions for the Indian Army, that doesn't find any mention in any of the communications of the government. It's completely silent on this aspect of defense pensions. Given the fact that this is not a problem that will be, this is not a solution that they will reap the benefits of from now, because this is something that you will only, the pension bill starts to reduce only after a decade or decade and a half. How do you see this problem? Why is the defense pensions issue the silent, the elephant in the room which no one's willing to talk about?
So two issues here again. One is, for quite some time it has been spoken of that the Indian Army is bloated, too highly manpower intensive.
Right.
So I reckon when the scheme started being conceptualized by whoever was conceptualizing it,
Yes.
it came up that, it was pre-2020. And, there were issues here that there was a thought process, we can reduce the Indian Army by 2 lakhs because the northern border was not active. And the Pakistanis have also taken a step backwards.
Yes.
And the Jammu and Kashmir after 370 was also improving. So maybe one of the thought processes was to optimize the force level, I mean the number of people, from 12.5 lakhs, 12.50 lakhs to bring them to about, say, 10 and a half, a little more. So, one was the issue of this optimizing the strength of it.
Yes.
This particular part has actually gone for a 6 totally after the Chinese came and tapped on our doors in 2020.
Right.
If that was a concept in which brought up cost, now we see there is rising tensions in south of Pir Panjal. There are large commitments
Yes.
in Manipur. So, that manpower reduction, if that was an objective, I think has to be put on a back burner.
Absolutely.
It has to be life situation.
Right.
And the second part of the question that you asked is that is this manpower? What was the aim like? What was the question? Sorry, I missed the thing.
On defense pensions, on reducing defense pensions.
Now, again, for a very long time, it has been stated that the revenue budget has bloated up. The
Yes.
revenue budget has gone so far high, especially for the army, that there is a problem of modernizing. So even if you see it now, even in last 10 years, the total budget, including the pension, has been about 2% of GDP, which is very low. And without the pension, it comes to about 1.5% of GDP.
Yes.
So the amount that the army gets for modernization, say 30 lakh crore, is grossly insufficient for modernizing such a large army against such very difficult adversaries. So that saving of the money, I think, must have been a back of the mind
Yes.
always.
Right.
Indeed, it would have affected after 15 years when the pensions
Right.
were sorted out. But the work would have had to start now to reduce it.
The work
Again,
would have started now. General Sharma, very quickly, I have to wrap. I will ask General Chauhan this point that you made, the fact that this worked well when China was not an adversary. The Agniveer scheme would have worked in pre-2020, in the pre-2020 scenario, but not possibly in post-2020 when you need soldiers for mountain warfare. And General Chauhan, you've commanded mountain divisions and you know how mountains swallow up troops. Do you think that this is an altered reality that we must deal with, and the fact that because you need larger numbers of soldiers, given the fact that we have a undemarcated boundary with China, this scheme will have to be relooked at?
Absolutely. Once again, mountains swallowed, said it right. I commanded the 8th Mountain Division in Umbathang, that's the Kargil setup. General Sharma was the GOC of the 14th Corps. And we have to, everything has to be tailored to the kind of threat we face. Our threat is the mountain. Our threat is keeping peace and keeping our territory and the integrity of our borders intact in the mountains. And for the mountains, we need the whole territory. And to hold territory, we need troops.
Right.
So till we are able to sort out issue about with China and with Pakistan, or China and Pakistan together, it will be impossible for us to reduce any troops.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you
endorse
very
that
much.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Endorse that.
General Chauhan, for that point there. General Rakesh Sharma, I'm completely sorry, we are completely out of time. We'll have to continue this discussion another time. Mountain swallow troops, and given the fact that India faces two adversaries on a two-front war scenario, the Agniveer scheme, the Agnipath scheme is something that needs to be relooked at. But thank you very much for joining us this evening, General Rakesh Sharma and General Shaukin Chauhan and my colleague Deepak Badana here in the studio with me.